making sure you're baselining your starting point is probably one of the most important parts of any D&I policy, right? And if a company says that they have D&I policy, but they don't have any metrics, I would question if they have D&I policy at all, right? Because otherwise, do you know what people from less represented backgrounds are wanting, are needing, and how do you know if your policies are being effective if you're not tracking your metrics, right? So I think there's some quite easy metrics to track, right? I think basically you've got your current state, right? So you've got essentially within your teams at different levels today, what is the gender split? What representation do you have of certain backgrounds that you're tracking, right? So for example, McKinsey will know of its GLAM colleagues. So that's our LGBT group at McKinsey. They'll know exactly where those people are at every level, right? So they can look at the current state and say, we've got a lot of LGBT colleagues at the bottom levels, but very few at the top. I wonder why that might be, right? Let's go and talk at that EM, which is the level at which they're leaving, and find out why, right? And that drive initiatives, right? Or they might say, again, we've got a 50, so McKinsey, I think, actually has a 60-40 split of women to men at the lower level. At least they did the year that I left. But then at the top, again, it's like 80% men, right? So something's happening. So I think looking at your current state at different levels, looking at that pipeline, looking at promotions and what the splits are, the representation is within that, and using that to identify your pain points and therefore drive the deep dives that will end up in the initiatives, right? That you will launch and then track against. So that's a couple of things that you can do. And again, something that, I mean, McKinsey has a whole team, right? doing this stuff doing it well. So that's all quantitative. So the qualitative is also important, right? So actually speaking to your people. So every year we would do an engagement survey that would ask everyone in the organization how they felt about certain topics and give certain things an overall rating and write some real qualitative statements about how they feel. And you could, if you felt comfortable, you could tick a box to say, am I female, male, non-binary? If I'm comfortable, am I part of the LGBT community? Am I part of the BAME community? They can then cut that data in different ways to say, actually, on the whole, we're scoring really well on these dimensions, but our LGBT, our GLAM community have dropped by like 50 percentage points from last year. So we really need to talk to that community and find out what's going on and what we need to do better, right? So all, as you'd expect from McKinsey, all very data informed. But because I actually had a leadership position within GLAM in the London office, for me, that was so helpful, right? Because I could then work out where our pain points were within a certain year and be a lot more targeted in what I was doing and what my focus was for the next 12 months.